Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined this evening with Jasper Rajavadee. And I did say
Yep.
that correctly, did I?
100%.
Okay, all right. There you go. Well, you are the man behind Squared Away, a look at the Ohio History Center, which is part of C3's Hidden Histories anthology. So let me just see if you could give us a little bit of a summary of the entry.
Sure. So my entry for the C3 anthology is a very brief but somewhat personal look at the Ohio History Center, which is a history museum located in Columbus, sort of off the side of the fairgrounds, and it's a place that I have worked at for the past several years. And it and I would say it's sort of a hidden gem in terms of some of the other museum traffic in the city, but it's also what I believe to be a worthwhile visit if you like to be surprised.
So you worked there for the last couple of years, you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay. So how's the experience been working at the Ohio History Center?
I would say it's been pretty rewarding in terms of being able to meet all sorts of people and such, and having the opportunity to work with, or I'd say interact with all sorts of different artifacts. Well, I'm not necessarily handling artifacts in my day-to-day jobs. I am often working at strange hours of the day behind a security office.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but it is really interesting to sort of be able to walk in the galleries and, sort of interact with all sorts of things about Ohio's history and the people who have lived through it.
So obviously you picked the topic because you work there. So right? I mean I'm correct by that. That's not a ludicrous statement.
Oh, that's part of it, yes.
Okay. Well, okay, that's just what I was getting to. Was there another reason why you said this is the topic I'm doing?
Yeah, part of it was also because I wanted to just try to challenge myself to learn a little bit more about the place that I work at, because it is such a wide-reaching organization, but it's also I also wanted to challenge myself to make a comic that combined my own interests in making comics and uh, being in the museum.
So, what did you learn while getting things prepped for your entry into the anthology? Did you learn something new that you didn't know about, say, from maybe a few months ago or whenever it was the last time you had a chance to kind of you know bebop your way around the museum?
Yeah, so especially within some of the later pages, I do focus on specific objects and exhibits in the galleries. I in researching to make sure that I labeled things correctly, I got to learn all sorts of names for the objects that we have and how long they've been in the collections, and even when some items were manufactured or created. Near the end of the comic, I there is a very small mention of a late 1800s corn sheller that has been sitting in the galleries for a while, and I never knew what that thing was. So I like had to go into our organization's catalog to find out what it was by like name or the label on it and the color. And
Okay.
I was like, oh, so this is what this thing is now. I can
So,
recognize it.
so your research paid off then.
Yes, I'd say so.
Okay. Well, I guess here before we start plugging the crowdfunder and talking more, Jas, about some of your other projects that you have, why is it important to have a good understanding of history, in your opinion?
Ooh, I feel like these days it's also a pretty loaded question.
I True, very true. I'm guilty of that with this question.
Right.
You're right.
But yes, absolutely. It is important, I think, to learn about history in one part to understand that people are generally not alone in their struggles and such, or even in like the world in general. And I feel like in some way, knowing history can help you to feel less isolated from others. And it's an opportunity to connect as well.
That's a really great response to that question. That I think many people would overlook that there's that human community that needs to be there for history to be used and to be celebrated. So that very good answer. But let's real quickly take a step to the side for a minute, Jas, as I got to talk about this crowdfunder, and you can help me out
Oh,
here.
yes.
You admit if I'm incorrect on this statement. Please let me know. All right, I will admit when I'm wrong. It is expensive to be creative. Is that a true statement?
Yes. I mean, it is in many ways correct.
Well, that's why we're doing this anthology. All right, for those of you that followed along last year, you know all about it. You know how we do this. We have a very unique way of funding things, and that's through crowdfunder. And basically, we've set up tiers, and we want to hit tiers. And each tier that we hit, some money is going to go back into the pockets of some of these great creators like Jas, like all the fine folks I've been speaking with about the anthology. But we want to focus on the top goal. All right. Now look, there's bottom goals like $10 a page. All right, if we reach $1,050, it's $15 a page if we hit the mark of 1350. It's $20 per page if we hit 1675, and everybody's going to get $25 per page if we reach 2,000. And I think, Jas, I think we could do this, right? I think that we could definitely get folks to donate and get to that $2,000 mark, right?
Absolutely. And especially if you really want to support artists that are local to you. It's
That
not a bad idea.
That's right. All the money is staying right here in Central Ohio. None of it's going anywhere. It's going right here to give back to the fine, talented folks who made one heck of an anthology. Let's not talk, let's not mince words, Jas.
All right.
It's a really awesome anthology.
I got to look at some of the collected work recently, and we have an incredible like spectrum of like stories and talent going on here, and I'm very humbled to be a part of it.
Yeah, so definitely, folks, check out all the social medias for C3. Again, that is the Columbus Cartoons Coalition. They'll have all the information that you need to get to the to donate, if you will. I don't know, what I was going to say, but I'm just saying it right here. Go over to all those social medias for C3 and go ahead and find out how you can contribute. It would mean a lot to everybody that's involved in the project. And you know what? You're getting a heck of a great comic book too, or excuse me, graphic novel, if you will, anthology, whatever you want to call it. You're getting an awesome one. So definitely, if you can help out, please do. Jess, I would like to just throw out real quickly. I just wrote this down a moment ago. when we were talking about the Ohio History Center. I haven't been there in a while. I have to be honest with you; it's probably been a good 10 years, maybe, since I've gone there. I really enjoyed when I went. There was a an expo, excuse me, on toys throughout the years. So toys from the early 1890s all the way up through modern times, and I really enjoyed it. Um, where can folks find out about what's going on at the History Center?
Well, time for me to be a bit of a shill for my organization.
Sure,
I
go
have
ahead.
yes, uh, do visit sometime on, uh, Wednesdays through Sundays. Fr that's when the museum is open to the public. For more specific information, you can go to ohiohistory.org, and for there, you will you will be able to find information about the History Center itself, including sort of the operating hours and current exhibits that we have set up. And you'll also be able to find relevant links to information for other services that are in the center as well.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about you. Okay, Jazz. Were you always interested in art?
Oh, yes. Ever since I was a kid, I think I knew I wanted to be an artist, but there were times where I doubted that I could be an artist for real. And prior to that was probably because of having some form of imposter syndrome about it. But then I proceeded to go into undergrad and grad school for art anyway. So, and even besides that, I would say that uh, I still consider myself an artist as well, even without having gone through training.
Okay. How would you describe your art style?
I would describe it as very highly influenced by, uh, it's definitely anime influenced from sort of being introduced to things like Pokemon and Sailor Moon at a very young age. And I also had the How to Draw a Manga book by Katie Coop in middle school as well, so there was a lot of that going on. But these days, I've also sort of trying to make my digital works look a little bit more uh, influenced by traditional media, which is why I tend to go for also include sort of a texturized look for the flat characters as well. So there's like I like to use a lot of paper textures and such. I also like to misuse a lot of brush pens as well in my work. And yeah, for the most part, I sort of just mess around and find out and make something.
Well, one of the things that I noticed doing some research is that you're pretty skilled at what is called installations. Could you tell the listeners or the viewers at home what is an installation?
Yeah, so in in sort of art terms, an installation is a sort of category of art in which you have sort of a multimedia or multiple media even sometimes incorporated a into a physical space for an artwork, and sometimes that can range from physical props to an inclusion of things like projections it's sort of a wide range of there's sort of a wide range of medium that you can use to create an installation, but I think I would say that one of the closest ways to describe it would be like gathering a bunch of objects and telling a story with it.
When you did that with something called the Shine Project, that was an installation, correct?
Yes, the Shrine Project was sort of part of my MFA at the University of Connecticut, and it was uh, a multi-part installation that involved a lot of projectors and a lot of cardboard, and
Okay.
making that into sort of a makeshift Buddhist shrine, and with a lot of sort of inspired animations to go along with it.
Could you tell us a little bit about what is the Blink Museum of Art?
Ooh, so the Blink Museum of Art is sort of my passion project that I have going on in the background a lot of the times for things that I do. It is based on the idea of what if your favorite artists in history or even up to modern, what if we took their bodies of work and made it into a little guy? And it's sort of just often an exercise in character design for me. I really admire a lot of works of artists such as like Van Gogh, Joan Miro. I will take some of their works and make it into one character design.
Okay, so it's kind of, would it be safe to say that you might call it like a way to practice your skills?
Yes, and partially, most primarily in character design, but I'm hoping to also take those characters that I've made for different years and perhaps maybe have them interact in maybe a comic sometime where they question things about themselves or they interact with each other, much like how some art interacts with each other in galleries.
Hmm. Okay. You have the I guess you could say brand name, if you will, of Neon Pepper Arts. That's a very unique name. Where did you come up with that name for your, I guess again, for your brand, so to speak?
I would have to ask junior high school me where they got that name, because it did start off as like a screen name for my Steam profile when I was playing Terraria with my cousins, but over time I've started to use it everywhere just because it was fairly unique and it's also fairly easy for me to remember as well.
Yeah, there's something about that simplicity of your brand. Definitely, I totally understand. Let me ask a couple of questions about your experiences. For an example, if you had somebody that came to you and said, "Jas, I want to get into indie comics. I want to do this, but I don't know how." What advice would you give them?
It might even be the advice that I'd had to give myself to
Okay,
really start being involved with comics, and I would say it's a lot less scary than you think it is.
okay. Would you say that C3's helped out, being a member of C3, that's kind of helped you out with maybe, getting the right support for you and your projects?
Yes, I would say that C3 has been very helpful in that aspect. I have sort of been like a more quieter member of the cast, but mostly because I do work at night shifts, so I'm often not awake for the various conversations in real time. But it is a it is a wonderful sort of gathering of people to exchange ideas, uh, opportunities for submitting work to other venues, and connecting with other artists as well, and really sort of getting your work out there.
Yeah, all of that is absolutely true. C3, a fantastic organization. Everybody says pretty much almost the same thing, and you said it as well. The support, having somebody there to maybe look over and proofread stuff, or to encourage you to do more, encourage you to stretch yourself, if you will. Yeah, all those. I mean, I think every single guest that I've talked to has said that, and that's awesome to hear. But now I'm gonna throw a curveball at you.
Okay.
What are, or what is, it might just be one or it might be a couple. What is the pitfall that you want to avoid when you start in indie comics? So what obstacle do you want to avoid hitting when you are just starting out in the indie comic scene?
Ooh, I think this might even be one that I'm facing right now is um, keeping the ball going in terms of uh, making sure that I'm still making uh, works consistently. I also value rest as well, but especially for creative work. But I also know that if I slow down for too long, I might not be able to pick back up again with the same sort of energy
Yeah.
as uh, having just submitted work for this anthology.
Now you said you do you work night shift then?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, that's got to be hard too on your schedule, right? Or are you kind of used to it now?
I've actually been like on those hours for quite a while now, so it is a lot. It's definitely a lot of getting used to in terms of coordinating time with friends and meeting people who primarily work during the day. But for the most part, I've been able to make most of those things happen, especially since they matter a lot to me.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any new projects coming down the pike, so to speak? You have anything in the works?
So I've been working on a couple of like one-off short comics. I've sort of been trying to task myself with the idea of drawing at least one comic for each week. It doesn't have to be published for me, but I would like to actually share them with others as well. I've also been uh, keen on the idea of making more comics about experiences working not just at the History Center, but my experiences with museums in general, and gathering that into a bunch of those short comics into perhaps a single volume.
Okay, those sound like two really good projects there, especially the comparing the other museums to the History Center. I think that sounds really interesting.
Hopefully so.
Yeah. All right, Jas, let's go ahead and plug some of your social media, or if your website or your Tumblr or whatever you have. Let's go ahead and hit those up so folks can reach out to you if they have questions.
Yeah, so my work can most readily be found on Instagram and Tumblr. Uh, on Instagram, my handle is at Neon Peppers, that is all one word and lowercase. My Tumblr blog is Neon Pepper Arts. That is also all one word as well. And you can find links to my portfolio site and everything else via a link tree. That is link dot or linktr.ee/neon peppers.
Okay, there we go. Well, let's just refresh the memories of the folks that are listening and for who are watching what we're doing here. We're doing this again for the Hidden Histories, which is the newest anthology from C3. Again, all of the money is staying right here in Central Ohio. Money rate will be given back to the artists. We're shooting for that top tier. I mean, go big or go home, as the old sports analogy is. $25 page rate if we can get $2,000 donated. And there's other tiers as well, but I'm just hyper focused on, I feel it in my bones that we here in Columbus, Ohio can make this happen, can get that $2,000 mark and get everybody some money back in their pockets. And again, definitely check out all the social medias for C3. And if you don't know what C3 stands for, it is the Columbus Cartoons Coalition. Definitely check out their social media, and you can find information on how to get your hands on one of the anthologies and where your money's going and all those questions that you might have. Just look for it once again at C3 through their social media accounts. And again, do a good thing. I mean, it helps out everybody. It helps out everyone that is an independent artist right here in Columbus, Ohio, in the Central Ohio area. Jas, he just told you it's expensive to be a creative sometimes, right?
It's expensive, but it is rewarding. So he would like there to be more really good art in the world. I think you donating to C3 certainly is one of the ways.
Yeah, there you go. So make it happen. You heard what the man said. Let's make it happen, Columbus. And with that, I'm going to start wrapping things up here. Jas, it was a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to sit down and talk with me.
No, thank you as well for having me here.
Well, you're quite welcome. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to throw it over to a quick break. And on the other side of the break, you're going to hear me talking to yet another fabulous C3 artist.